President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Vice Admiral Ibok-ete Ibas, retired as the sole administrator of Rivers State. The administrator was sworn in following a short meeting with the president on Wednesday afternoon. Tinubu announced the appointment of the retired naval chief at the nationwide broadcast on Tuesday when he declared the state of emergency in Rivers State and suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara, Deputy Governor Ngozi Odu, and the Rivers State House of Assembly members. Tinubu hinged his decision on Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution, saying he can't continue to watch the political situation in Rivers State escalate without taking any action. The suspension of Fubara and other democratically elected representatives has been expressly rejected and condemned by many eminent Nigerians, legal luminaries, groups including Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Femi Falana, the Labour Party, the People's Democratic Party, the Nigerian Bar Association, among others. However, the emergency rule has been praised by the pro-Nyesom Wike Assembly led by Martins Amewule, accusing Fubara of contravening the Supreme Court ruling on the political situation in the state. This has been rising reports since, I think, well, it became quite eminent and official yesterday. What are your thoughts on this report?
Well, first, the president, like you rightly stated, acted as enshrined in Section 305 of the Constitution to declare state of emergency in Rivers State.
Right.
And subsequently appointed a sole administrator for 6 months to be in charge of Rivers State. And there have been divergent views. Some persons have said the president acted illegally, while others have come out to say no, the president took the right decision to maintain law and order in Rivers State. Again, those who said the president did not act well did not ask question why the Apex Court gave its ruling or judgment that there should be return of democratic rule in Rivers State. And ever since then, it has been moving back and forth between the legislature and the executive. The governor has been at loggerhead with the assembly, and they've not been able to carry out any of the directive or implement the judgment of the Supreme Court. And first, the Supreme Court made it clear that the governor should provide unhindered access to the Rivers House of Assembly to start their sitting, because in a democratic setting, we have 3 tiers of government. We have the executive, we have the legislatures, and the judiciaries. And what we saw in Rivers State is where only one tier of government, no, sorry, when I say the arm of government, only one arm of government is working. That's the executive. We have 3 arms of government. We have the executive, the judiciary, and the etc. But what we saw is where the legislatures are excluded. The judiciary seems to be working, the executive working. But it is not proper to have this kind of arrangement. Right. And when the matter came up in Supreme Court, the Supreme Court made it very clear that there should be return to democratic rule, that the Rivers House Assembly should immediately commence sitting, and that the governor, part of what that means is that the governor should present the appropriation bill to the Assembly, because you cannot run a state without a budget, which has been the subject matter before the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court made it very clear. Now, we expected that the governor would have done that. They came back and we saw supporters of the governor saying that, in fact, the governor made the comment himself. He said even if he disagree with the Supreme Court, that they will implement it. You don't need to disagree. You are bound to obey whatever decision the Supreme Court.
But disagreement doesn't mean disobedience.
When you say you don't disagree, it means a lot, because that's where the issue started. We have seen where those supporting the governors came with different interpretation.
Are you saying that he must agree with the judgment, even though it's not? He doesn't feel it's in his best interest.
I say he is bound to.
He's bound to agree.
To agree.
Is he meant to? Is he meant to implement? Is he bound to implement or bound to agree or be happy about it?
When I say I agree, when the governor say disagree, it means a lot, because the governor is leading people, and when you come out to say you did not agree what the Supreme Court said, but you will implement it, there is a condition. It's a conditional statement that the governor made. That shouldn't have come out in the first place. I don't know whether you understand, because you are leading people. Whatever statement you make is very sensitive.
But we are going to ignore. Are we going to ignore the second part where he said, "I'm going to implement it," as opposed to, you know, we are talking about his disagreement or agreement with the judgment?
That's what I said. Did the governor implement the decision? No, he did not.
He did write a letter to the House of Assembly.
When was that letter written?
He did go to the gate of the Assembly.
Now, it's not just the budget. There are issues, fundamental issues, that the governor would have implemented. First, the Constitution is very clear. You cannot have a commissioner who did not pass through the House of Assembly. At the national, you can't have a minister who did not pass through the Senate. Now, in this case, we saw commissioners who were not screened by the Rivers House Assembly being commissioners under the administration. And what the House of Assembly did was to write to the governor to say that judgment was given on February 28th. Today is what? How many days after?
Today is 20th.
Yes, and the state of emergency was declared 2 days ago.
Right.
So it took over. We see how long it took. The assembly wrote to the governor. Ordinarily, they are not supposed to write to the governor. The governor would have done is to send the names of those who want to be commissioner to the assembly to screen. He didn't do that. The assembly reminded him in a letter to say, see, because not all the commissioners, I must say this, not all the commissioners that were not screened. Some were screened by the assembly. There are others that were not screened. So the assembly excluded those ones and said, this one we don't know. We have realized that these people are have been sworn in as commissioner. They were not screened. They can't be commissioner. Please send them if you want them to be commissioner, so we can screen them. The governor didn't do that. He gave a deaf ear to that. The assembly wrote to the governor because the budget would have been passed by now. And if you look very well, you will understand that they have already started implementation of 2025 budget. Now, because the year is fast spent.
You said that they shouldn't, even though the assembly shouldn't have written a letter to the governor, they did write a letter to the governor. Now, in the whole, when you look at the full scope of this crisis in Rivers State, is due to a disagreement of whatever sort they've had. I mean, the executive and the legislative arm. They've not come to some term of agreement as regards several things that they have going on amongst each other. Now, in a bid to broker peace, as it were, and to resolve conflict, someone has to start or open a channel for communication, because without communication you cannot foster any form of peace, as it were. Now, the Supreme Court judgment has come through. They have written that letter to the governor. The governor has said, I did not see the letter. The governor has written his own letter to the House of Assembly. Then he decided to go look for them. He was not allowed to go into the compound. If you look at all of this, it still boils down to, you know, this thing that has been going on as regards what has even brought us to this in the first place, right? Did they try to open the channel? Were these channels communicated properly? If I were going to ask you, what is the official channel of communication if you were going to reach out to someone officially?
The formal form of communication is to write a letter.
It's to write a letter. So why do you think these letters didn't get to the appropriate people they were supposed to get to? Because the House of Assembly has said, oh no, we didn't see the letter of the governor either. Honorable Enemi George said some people, some aides of Governor Fubara did send the letter to, you know, via WhatsApp and all of that.
Okay, first, see,
right.
But like I said, the governor, the crisis we have in the state, the governor should not exonerate himself. He was part of the reason why the state of emergency was declared. When you say peace, nobody, when this whole thing started, parties maintained that they will wait the decision of the Supreme Court.
Right.
And the Supreme Court decided. Even when some of us have said, oh, the governor can actually, the assembly and the governor can actually agree on a pact of peace. But they refused. Both parties maintained that they want to wait for the decision of the Supreme Court. And when the Supreme Court gave that judgment, the parties are bound to implement whatever the Supreme Court have decided. Now, what am I saying? The point I'm making is there is a judgment. What that means is that we have passed the level of let us make peace. It is to look at what the judgment said. First, we know what the governor did. He said he's waiting for the CTC of the judgment. After being briefed by his lawyer, the governor took like 4 or 5 days, because that judgment was delivered on a Friday. The governors, up till next week Friday, that was when he now acknowledged that they have received the CTC of the judgment. 7 days after, nothing was done. The assembly wrote to the governor to say, please come and present your budget.
Right.
You have 48 hours. The governor said he did not see the letter. And the assembly provided proof that that letter, that brings us to the issue of official communication, that letter was sent to the Rivers State government house. And somebody at the gate, he refused to collect that letter. That was what Phyllis, right? The courier company that delivered that letter to government house. Now when they got to government house, the man who was at the gate made a call to probably those inside the government house to say, we have a letter from Riverside Assembly. And they refused. They said he should take back the letter. People who behave like this are not ready for peace. And what we saw was the SSG saying they did not receive any letter. Until the election, they have to bring a proof that that letter was actually rejected at the government house entrance. Now, the governor wrote a letter. That letter was written around, from the WhatsApp message we saw, was communicated. The governor said he has made several attempts. Let me quote what the governor said. He has made several attempts to reach out to the speaker. When you say make several attempts, it could be that, oh, please give me my phone. I want to call the speaker. That's an attempt. The governor didn't tell us that he actually called the speaker, and the speaker did not take his call. So he said, from what he said, he made an attempt to call the speaker. Attempt could be, I want to call. And that's an attempt, but you have not. So he didn't call the speaker. And what we saw was...
Can you say that for a fact that he didn't call the speaker?
No, I'm going by what the governor said. He said he made an attempt to call, to reach out to the speaker. He said he made an attempt to reach out to the speaker.
I can say I made an attempt to call you and you didn't pick up.
I can also say your attempt is you were looking for your phone. That could be an attempt to call me.
I could be looking for my phone to do anything else other than call you. If I say I attempted to reach you, that means it's a direct attempt at reaching you.
Reaching, when you say you made an attempt reaching me, it could be that you were looking for your phone to call me. That's what it means. So the governor said he made an attempt to reach out to the speaker.
Sorry.
So what we saw was the letter written by the Secretary to Government of the Federation to the Speaker. And the House of Assembly has come out to say that's a letdown on the Assembly. That on official communication, I'm looking at, I'm trying to chronicle while we got to the state of emergency. And the Assembly said, if you want to communicate us, I am the third person. After the executive is the legislature. The speaker is the number 3 person by ranking. And you are sending the Secretary to Government of the Federation to write in an official matter that the governor is supposed to write to us. That's a letdown on the House of Assembly. And not just that, that letter was written a day before the governor went to the assembly quarters. And the assembly have also come out to say, this is our official quarter. We live here. Because of what happened to the Vice Admiral Assembly, we now converted our official residence to the Hello Chamber.
I want to ask you a question. Where would the governor have met the assembly members to present the budget if the letter they did send to him was accepted?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Because of the situation we have, the official quarter of the Vice Admiral Assembly was converted to the Hello Chamber. Now, if you want to, meaning that you don't, it's not just a place where you go and you go at any time. It's an official residence. There is a privacy attached to it. Now, the governor wrote the letter. It's not just about the location of the assembly. The governor wrote a letter in the evening telling them he want to present the budget in the next morning. Not just that. That's to tell you that the people are not sincere. We saw from the official publication that the Vice Admiral Assembly will be in Okrika. I think Okrika for the commission of government girls, Okrika Grammar School or something. The governor has another commissioning by 10 a.m. And the same governor said he want to present budget same day. And he wrote that letter a day in the evening before the day. Is it not
possible for the governor to send a representative for the commissioning of that project? But then again, he thought about it, given that he was given 48 hours to present the budget, and then thinking possibly they were ready for him to accept the budget, and he wrote the letter and turned up at that event instead of going for the commissioning of the school because that was of greater importance.
It's important, but now the governor was also in that commissioning. He was in the commissioning. So what I think is the governor didn't go there to present any budget.
Was he let in to find out if he was going there to present the budget? Or
if I did what?
Was he let in for them to see if he came to present the budget?
No, like I said, that is an official resident.
Right.
And going by what is happening in the state, the assembly have to protect themselves.
Right.
Because there have been lots of threats.
Okay.
So it is not a place where you just go.
Okay.
But in a normal arrangement, if the assembly is aware that the governor wants to present the budget, they will make arrangement to receive the governor. But the point is that the governor wrote a letter and the assembly gave the governor 48 hours. Right. The governor didn't show up in this 48 hours. The assembly moved on. Now, the governor who said 48 hours was not enough for him.
Right.
Because I don't see where the issue of 48, the ultimatum given by the Vice Admiral should be an issue, because the governor already has the budget. There was a budget that was presented to the 3 members of the Vice Assembly. Why not you take that same budget and present to the assembly? The governor said, oh, the 48 hours is not enough for him. And now gave the assembly less than 24 hours because he wrote the letter in the evening telling them he want to present the budget the next day. The same government who said 48 hours is not enough now gave the assembly members less than 24 hours. Or we saw the letter in the evening. The next morning we saw the governor at the official quarters of the Vice Admiral Assembly that he want to present the budget.
And all of this has brought us to this case of a state of emergency and the suspension of the governor and the House of Assembly. I want us to, do you think the state of emergency declaration was done rather too hastily?
That's why I decided to chronicle what happened. Because when people said it has not gotten to a point of declaring state of emergency, that's why I have to say this. Because you have called on the governor. They said the Supreme Court have decided, have taken a decision on the political crisis in Rivers State. Go and present the budget. Those who you appointed as commissioner, what you would have done is to relieve them of the appointment. And send their names to the assembly. The governor doing that. So there is a collapse of democracy in Rivers State. So that's why the president have to come in.
By Section 305, what are the reasons that a state of emergency should be called?
When part of the reason is that this security.
Okay.
And you saw that when the constitution was suspended in Rivers State, like when the governor decided to lead Rivers people, not by the constitution, there were lots of threats. I'm sure you saw video clips of some faceless group saying they want to disrupt oil facility and all that. And from what the president said, that there were bombing of assets of oil facility in Rivers State, and that the governor did not do anything.
I want to ask you.
It was part of the reason why the president have to declare a state of emergency.
Great. Now, from the time frame of when these bombings happened and when we had the press briefing by the president, how many hours of how many hours interval did it take? Because this bombing happened on Tuesday. On Tuesday evening, the president was making. Why is the timing so close? Now, are we saying this happened because of this? You said when there is a breakdown of law and order.
Yeah.
So as it were, infrastructures were blown up. From when these infrastructures were blown up, did you think the timing gave the governor enough time to declare a state of emergency as one facility blew up rather? Should it have come out to say we are declaring a state of emergency, or reach out to the assembly, which it was supposed to do, to say, okay, let's declare a state of emergency? Do you think enough time was given in between before the president declaring the state of emergency?
When you say there was an attack on oil facility on Tuesday morning, I don't think it started on Tuesday morning.
The bombs actually went through. The blow up actually went on.
We have several attacks. It's not just there was one in reported case in Onega. We had in Bayelsa. We had in Ogoni area.
All of those reports were on Tuesday, sir.
No, not on Tuesday. And don't also forget, they were blockade.
Okay.
Some youth barricaded the east-west section of east-west road.
Okay.
On the same issue, and threatening that.
Is that enough reason? What lives have lives been lost in all of this? Was order completely broken down?
Do we have to wait for people to start dying?
Do you think order was completely broken down as regards? You said, according to 305, law and order has to be broken down. We have many states in Nigeria where order has been broken down. People, you start seeing bodies all over the place. We have the whole event in Lekki. The state of emergency was not declared in Lagos. Do you think the timing from when this report of this blowing up happened, the timing was enough to say this River State, as it were, should be, a state of emergency should be declared by the president?
This is a security issue.
Okay.
And you know that Niger Delta is very important to this country. Now, when you attack oil facility, it leads to loss of revenue. Some of these instances you have made may not or have very small effect on the revenue of the country. And oil facility are being blown up.
So are you saying that this emergency was called because of the revenue the state brings to the federal government?
It's also part of it. So the the president have to take proactive measure. Now, since the state of emergency, have you heard of any case of bombing?
Before the whole, this bombing is just like in the space of hours, like I rightly said. Before this hourly bombing, was there bombing last month? Was there bombing on Monday?
No, before now. You know, the bombing started when the Rivers House Assembly served the governor impeachment notice. I don't know whether you're aware of that. So you don't also know the intelligence report that the security have.
Right.
So it's also part of measure to be proactive. Nobody knows what would have happened if the president did not take that action.
Great.
So the action is to maintain law and order. It is not. We need to be we need to state this clearly.
Okay.
The governor was removed temporarily.
Now, let's talk about this temporary removal. That was where I was headed next before we round up and move to the next discuss. Now, on this case of the suspension of the governor, even the NBA has come out to say it is unconstitutional for a president to suspend an elected governor and elected House of Assembly members. Right. What are your thoughts on that part of the report?
The NBA has taken a position The Attorney General, how come you did not mention that the Attorney General also affirmed that the decision of the President is in line with the law?
If you look at the Section 305, did it give the President the power
the President
to do that?
Nobody, from what have been said so far, I've followed different school of thought on the emergency declaration in Rivers State. Those who disagree with the President only said that the situation in Rivers State has not degenerated to the point of declaring state of emergency. Nobody said the President do not have such power. You need to differentiate between these two things.
According to the NBA, according to 305 subsection 5, the President does have the power to call a state of emergency. But the President, according to the Constitution, in a democratic regime, does not permit the President to remove or, as it were, suspend an elected governor or House of Assembly members, and there is no provision for the President to have appointed an administrator in the Constitution.
Well, the President didn't just do that.
Okay.
The President consulted the leadership of the National Assembly before that decision was made. So it was a national decision. It's not just Tinubu taking a decision. The leadership of the Senate was consulted. The leadership of the House of Rep was also consulted. And they looked at it, that for the best interest of Rivers people, there should be a state of emergency. And the governor should set aside. Like I said, there was, from what the President read, that in the issue of bombing, that the governor has not done anything, not even said anything. So what that means is that it's an indictment. So the governor has to step aside so that there will be total peace. Peace will be restored in Rivers State. And I am sure that's what we have now. The state is calm, and people are, of course, people are going about their normal businesses. And we hope that it will continue like this.
Thank you.
And at the end of 6 months, maybe we should also continue to enjoy the level of peace we have recorded in just these few days.
Thank you so much for your insight.